I can start. So I'm in the St. Louis area, and there's really a decent number of studios that are within the St. Louis metropolitan area. But because of that, I feel like over the last maybe year or two, since things have really gotten back after COVID, pre-booking culture has just gone way, way, way downhill. I mean, I'm looking at my 4, 5:15, and 6:30 class today, and it's 1, 3, and 2. And these are and I'm sure they're going to get up to at least a full 1G in the next, 2 hours. But I've just been trying to think of ways that we can entice people to participate more in the pre-booking culture. Because when we talk about it, the two things that I hear are, I don't want to get the $12 late charge, and what if something comes up? And so if anyone has any ideas of how to like make people feel reassured that like if something truly comes up an emergency, then like bring it to our attention. Don't feel like you have to just always cancel on the app, and just all those things that people use to combat these excuses on pre-booking culture.
Does anyone have anything that works well? Yeah, go for it. Was someone going to say something on this? Or does anyone have any best practices on this? I know it's something that we struggle with too, Stuart. And it tends to be the evenings more than the mornings. I mean, there still could be better pre-booking in the morning, but man, we struggle too with like if I look at the roster tonight, it's like I know more are going to show up, but why don't they book?
I don't know if it, I mean, we just did it this week because we're doing like just a member appreciation week at our studio specifically. We have a lot in the area, but um, we're like giving a raffle ticket for people who can show us that they pre-booked for this week. Um, and I mean, same thing at night. You look at the classes typically on a Tuesday night, you'll see 15 people in the 415, like 10 people in the 533G. But when classes start, they're full and waitlisted. So, I mean, but this afternoon I looked before I left the studio, and I mean, the 415 is like almost full, and same with the 530 because they know that they're going to get a raffle ticket for it today or this week at least.
Can I ask what you did for the raffle? Because I've thought about doing something like this for Transformation Challenge, is having like Team Orange and Team Black, and whoever gets the most like pre-booking through like in 1 week, that's the weekly team. And then I've thought about doing a raffle, but the studio that's the biggest problem in is in a very affluent area, and so I don't know what they could be enticed to that we could actually like afford to give them.
Yeah, we've asked for donations, so we've built a lot of relationships with people around the area. I mean, we have vendors that come for dry try. We have vendors that come for like transformation challenge or like that type of stuff. And then some of our members, like are just more wealthier, so they can, provide off. I mean, I mean, I'm in Raleigh, so uh, our member donated 2 Hurricanes hockey tickets, as like a thing. So, I mean, and we have like a iCryo like little thing around, or a tumbler or anything like that. We've donated, but that's what we're doing just this week. But yeah, definitely having the same problem with the pre-booking because I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand this.
Well, I'm glad to know that your raffle worked, because I did have a similar idea, but I didn't know if member engagement would be high with it. So the fact that you're seeing positive results is reassuring. So that makes me think that maybe in 2025 we can try something like that.
Yeah.
Stuart, I was gonna say one thing that like this isn't specific to any type of challenge, but something that we did or have we try to do regularly, like but not regularly because we don't want members to anticipate it. So we would like pick a day in a quarter, say, so it's not like every month, it'd be like maybe once every 2, 3 months, where we'll have some type of small marketing item. Do you know how like there's those cheap drawstring bags? Or we just have, I don't know, at our studio we have so much of this, not crap, but just like stuff in like our back storage where we're like, we cannot give enough of this away. It's just so much like these small marketing items. You know what I mean? Where they're like not a lot of expense or whatever. And we'll pick one day and then we'll have, without announcing it on social media, not doing anything at the end of class, like during class, the front desk, they'll check everybody that's in class, if they're pre-booked for, we'll pick a number of classes, say it's like 6 classes over the next 2 weeks. So it's like they're pre-booked for 3 classes a week or whatever it is. And whoever in the class is pre-booked, at the very end of class, the coach would announce like, hey, we did a giveaway today. Whoever is pre-booked for this many classes or more, you got a free drawstring bag. Go grab it in the lobby. And then we'll take pictures and stuff of them. We'll showcase it. And at the end of the day, we'll post it. So then it's like kind of regularly, but not regularly, just putting in the mind of the members of like, oh, I might win something fun if I just pre-book my classes. And it gets the other ones like thinking about it. Or some people might think like, oh, I thought I pre-booked them, but I didn't. And because they're looking at like the actual numbers of who's pre-booking. And so that's kind of like, and as I told you before, our numbers aren't perfect in pre-booking, but it's, I don't know, it's been a fun little way to showcase pre-booking online. It's not a huge expense to the studio because really like in any given class, we're probably going to have like a few people who are actually pre-booked out. It's not like we're giving away 20 items per class. It tends to be something smaller, but I don't know, it's been a way that we've showcased members booking, if that helps. What else are you guys struggling with? I know the studios aren't perfect.
So
What are
along the same lines, I'm Erica. I'm in upstate New York here. So similar, I do have a newer studio. We have a newer studio that is in a pretty wealthy-ish area. We're struggling to get people to refer. We're trying to get the membership up. And so while the members we have are great and they're showing up, they're not quite as regular as the other studios in the area, and there are other 5 other studios. So we're just really struggling with how to incentivize people to give us referrals without just constantly asking, which we're doing. You guys have found any ways that are like more responsive than others?
refer referrals are so tough. I'm trying to think of one thing we just ran over. It was during the month of October, that we ran this. It was, what was it? Are you asking more for like just a name and number or like a referral who signs up?
Just trying to build membership. So at this point, names and numbers are great. We'll take it from there. Just having a hard time getting people to like give us the names or, just to keep that intro count coming.
So even just like the name and number one, we've done things like, again, I say this out of like, we just have so much of that cheap crap in our back storage that we try to like, or even they're like old shirts from like events or whatever. We have just like this stockpile of stuff that's added up over the 10 years our studio's been open. And so we just have a lot of stuff. And one thing that we've done before is like we'll put out like a table that has a bunch of, say it's like water bottles or towels, like inexpensive stuff. And then we'll like put out a sign or something that's like refer 3 friends or something. We usually do the number 3. 3 friends, and you can pick any item off the table or whatever. And then we try to make it be at least qualified of like they got to be local to the studio. They can't be like they live an hour away and there's another studio that's closer. They can't live in another state. Like we try to qualify it a little bit. And yeah, like the names and numbers aren't always perfect. Like maybe we only get a handful of actually decent people, but at least I don't know. We weren't doing anything with that stuff that was sitting in the back anyways. And
Right.
it got the members to now have some swag, so they're going to carry around their water bottle. And maybe we got a few decent leads out of because we'll usually get like within a day that we run that, maybe like 40, 50 names. And then
Oh, wow.
but then again, it sounds like a lot, but only a handful of them actually then convert into like an intro booking or something. Cause they were like, oh no, I'm
Sure.
not interested or whatever. But at least you get a few and it didn't really take a whole lot of extra work.
Right. Okay. I like it. Thank you.
I have a cool idea. I don't, my name's Megan. I'm in North Carolina. We have a 90-minute specialty class coming up. It's one of our coaches does the Taylor Swift class, and she just recently added the newest album. So she made a whole playlist. and she goes balls to the walls for these things. So her deal was it's a 90-minute 3G. If you bring a friend, you get an extra raffle ticket, all that fun stuff. We're handing out Taylor Swift themed things. But it was a way for at least one person brings in one friend. And that way you have a packed 3G class. You have a whole bunch of intros getting hype class. And I think right now it's full with the wait list. And we have like 8 people that are new and a whole bunch of members that are going to show them a good time. So it's a good way to get in some quality leads and not just random intros from all over.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you.
We've done this is sorry. If anyone else wants to talk, I don't want to be like the only one talking. We've like selected different, say, categories of or groups of like people. Like I don't know what would work well for what months, but like let's say in September, we always do this where we create like either on Canva or Photoshop or something where we create some kind of like certificate that would be like 1 week free, and then we would target a certain like group of people. So in September, we always go after teachers. And so because it's like back to school. So we would say like, hey, we got a bunch of these flyers. We would announce this to members, and we would say, hey, if you have any friends that are like educators, administrators, teachers, whatever in the area, grab a bunch of these flyers. They can come in and work out on like a week completely unlimited. They can come in 7 days a week if they want, 3 days, whatever. It's a 7-day period, and work out as much as they want for free. There's no obligation to sign up, but like usually we end up converting a handful of them. And then we feel like it's at least to our members, it shows that like we care about the teachers in the area. We know they're stressed, they're getting back to school, they're whatever. Here's a spot they can blow off some steam, and it's to give them just a free week in a way that they can give something away more than just one free class. And we'll do that with like we've done it with teachers, we've done it with doctors and nurses, we've done it with military, we've done it with police officers or like first responders. We've tried to find some like some groups of people in like the community that we feel like we could, it's a way to give back to them a little bit of like, we're not trying to pitch them hard on a sale, but usually a handful of them end up converting just because they're like, whoa, I actually like this. This is cool.
Right. Right. Love that. Okay, cool.
I have a question. If you guys are okay switching subjects.
Go with whatever you want. Yes, go for it.
Okay. I'm Vanessa. I'm from the Wisconsin area. First time hopping on one of these calls, and thanks for having them because I feel like it's really nice to hear from other regions. So as we all know, like I'm trying to plan ahead, and we know that the Transformation Challenge is coming up. We're going to have, we're going to be hoping for signups. I have been at the studio. I'm the head coach there for 6 years, and that's how long we've been open now. And like, if I'm completely transparent, the Transformation Challenge is like something I tend to like dread because we've done it so much. And it's not that I dread. I think it's more like it always starts like really hyped up, really strong, and then the team kind of falls off, members fall off. I'm kind of looking for new ways to like, I don't really want to do a Facebook group. What are we using to communicate with people? How do people select teams? Like, I don't want to do orange and black again. I think I just need like a whole like refresh. This could be another call actually dedicated to Transformation Challenge.
We have lots of time on it. We may as well discuss it. I mean, there's not like we're all
no, I am having on a different call at 1:30, but anything that you guys do that you know works really well for you, besides the things that like I mentioned, I'm just looking for like a little refresh and excitement to jump back into it again.
So I don't know if you mean member engagement or staff engagement, but one thing that
I think it's a combo of both,
Yeah. So one thing that we did, and I don't know if you do this, but it was honestly one of my favorite memories from TC last year, which was my first TC as a coach, was we did a draft for our teams, like the coaches and essays that were assigned to Team Orange and Team Black, all the participants, and it was like an NFL draft. So we got to like pick the members that were going on the team. So it made us really excited and have a lot of buy-in for our teams. And so that got us going on the right foot. It got us going really actively at the beginning because we were like, we got to pick our team. And it felt very much like that community or sub community within the bigger community at the beginning, which I loved. And I was a pretty new coach on the last TC, so it actually really helped me when a coach was like, "Oh, this person comes to your class a lot, and they've said they love you. They should be on your team." And I'm like, "Oh, really? I never knew that." So it just helps create those one-on-one connections that can carry over more easily throughout the challenge. At least that was my experience.
We did something similar where the coaches buddied up with a staff member and they have their own team of people. Their team could be Team Black or Team Orange. They could earn points for their team, but it made it more personal when you had, like, say, the head coach and the studio manager are together and they're the ones interacting with their group of people. And that way you have a group meet with a smaller group where you can talk to them, they can ask questions, whereas in a bigger group, they're not going to feel as ready to ask a question. But to me, it made it way more personal for getting to know the members on a deeper level, and the members got to know each other. And I think we just split it up based on who you saw the most often.
I know, Vanessa, one thing that's always been tricky for us that we're like still trying to figure out is because I think we do a pretty decent job of getting people to sign up. It's the getting people to finish that we struggle with big time. So say we get 200 people to sign up, 130 of them do their final scan, and we somehow miss almost a third of them. It's without fail. We've tried like raffle incentives for finishing. We've tried like personally texting everyone to finish, like at the end of like, hey, get your scan, whatever it is, and we still like we struggle big time with like the completion rate. I mean, I guess like you could say maybe 60% is decent. I don't know, but there's still like it's almost every time a solid third of our people don't finish. Finish
Um,
us and do the final scan.
yeah, I have a suggestion. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Coach Zaria. I am from Ohio. One thing that we did, and it worked in the past few years, is that, if you finish your if you finish the TC, so if you took your 3 classes for 6 out of the 8 weeks, you earned an additional scan on your account to do after the challenge. And that like really helps the complete, at least like a lot of members complete the challenge. So that's also a suggestion as well.
Like it'd be like you pitch it as like another way they can check in whenever they want a month or two down the road type thing.
Yep, yep, yep.
I have a question about the whole challenge itself. I don't know how you guys are going to deal with it, but I know in our area, there's a lot of folks that started the Ozempic and all this, weight loss, and some of them start and they wait to the challenge because they started it last year. How are you guys handling that? Because that's a challenge itself. Like, how do you say, oh, what do you want? What are you taking it? Because they're not necessarily truthful with you. So, any thoughts on that?
We had a couple clients who did that, or a couple members who did that. Interestingly, while they lost a significant amount of weight, they also lost a significant amount of muscle. Therefore, they were not even close to being winners in the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think too, Karina, just to like respond to, I don't know how you handle them. I think we just kind of left it up as like from all of us in this like fitness background and understanding the implications of taking the drugs, stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, either way. But I think it's just we gotta let they're adults and we have to let them make their own decisions and not feel like we have to press them for the information of like, are you taking something? Or are you not taking something? Even though we might be able to, from the outside in, look at like, shoot, they've got to be on something. This was a super dramatic change. I think it's just if they want to make the decision to do that, it's their decision, and we just have to be, if they're coming in regularly to work out at our studio, things like that, as supportive as we can of them. And I think like I forget who said it on here just recently, but a lot of the times, yeah, it's a drastic drop in muscle and not a lot of body fat loss, some water loss, and I don't know, it can be a good. educational standpoint, if they do tell you they're doing that, to show them on a scan of what it's actually doing to their body. But I think just whatever they're doing to be as supportive as we can, and then try to help them along the way without
Exactly. So
without
maybe
saying like
push
this
for the weight
disqualifies you or something.
if they are, I don't know, if they're dropping way too much weight, maybe encourage more the strength classes. Maybe. So they can maintain some of that muscle. Because we see it already and they're not even, the challenge hasn't even started. And I mean, you always give them like, wow, you look great, fantastic. Like, yes, we stay positive, but we know that they're disappearing. So barely any like muscle left. So I'll kind of talk to them and maybe say, have you considered like trying out the strength class, upper body, lower body? I was like, no, you know what? Maybe I'll try it. And, and then some of them are already focusing back into building that again. But I just thought maybe during the challenge, how challenging it was going to be. But I guess we'll keep the same momentum, kind of guiding them through the right path.
Yeah. Vanessa, were you saying originally that you were having trouble just with getting people to sign up? Was that kind of the...
I think we do pretty well. We're like a 500 person member studio, and we get probably like a good 150. I think our goals that are set for us are always higher than that. I think we start out strong, and I just feel like for the members that have done this over and over, like I just want something a little bit more exciting, and it could just be like if people do like different challenges like throughout to like, I liked the pre-booking idea that somebody mentioned, that could be a challenge. Also like the staff is great about starting out, like you said, really strong, but then like week, what is it? Like 4 or 6, everyone's just kind of dropping off. The engagement goes down. So, and like part of it has to come from me too. So I'm kind of just like, how do I stay in it and keep the team like going?
I guess, Vanessa, 2 things that I thought of just recently, because I swear, every time it goes by, so I'm going to be on we used to run, did anyone used to run 2 transformation challenges a year? You'd run another one? Do anyone do that? Some of you maybe back in, they give you the freedom to do it. We used to run 2 a year. We'd run the January one, and then we do like a fall one-ish. We used to do
There
that.
was like a summer one or something.
Yeah,
maybe it was fall, like back to it. Something.
Yeah, so we used to run multiple throughout the year. And I think it's funny because every year, like you were saying, Vanessa, like we would try to we'd go back to the drawing board of like, how can we make this next one better than the previous one? What can be like different? What can be the next big thing? And 2 things that we've like found over the last couple go arounds that have been things that we've like stuck with. First thing was you mentioned this a little bit, but we do for the 8 weeks or 6, whatever the challenge is, we pick a different challenge every week that the members can participate in that are doing the transformation challenge, that they then would be, if they complete the challenge, entered into a raffle for a prize that was donated by a business in the area. So there's no extra cost associated with it. So it would be like you said, if you have an iCryo by there, maybe they give you a day pass or they give you a week pass or something. And then everyone who finishes the challenge of, like Stuart said, you pre-book X amount of classes, you get put into a raffle for it. And then the next week, there's another challenge. Maybe it's, you got to wear your heart rate monitor to class. That's the challenge. Or maybe the next one, it's you, I don't know, have to take a picture with your coach and post it on social media, whatever it is. We would pick, and we pre-pick these 8 challenges, and then we pre-get the prizes well in advance, and we have it all mapped out and ready so that every week there's like a new and engaging thing that it's like, here's what this week's challenge is, here's what this is. And it kind of has provided more engagement. Not going to say it's perfect. And then the second thing,
I like that. Yeah.
Go for it. Oh yeah. And then
I was gonna say I like that. And I think like just the planning, like you just said, like that's why I'm talking about it now, because I want to have a game plan, so I'm not just like winging it the last 3 weeks.
What's funny, Vanessa, is that we like the planning, man. We started our execution guide, like we'll write up a separate execution guide for it, but we started ours back in October before Hell Week. Because we're just like,
I believe it.
Man, we got to start talking to these businesses. We got to start thinking of what we want to do. And then because it like the time creeps up on you. So the second thing though that we would do that I feel like made almost a really big impact that we didn't really think would have as big of an impact as it did. And this is we did it once. Our first time doing it was last transformation challenge, and now we're doing it again. We do a staff challenge where they buy into it through like Venmo or something. There's a pot of money that whoever has the biggest transformation with body fat or whatever wins. And so like each member on the staff, we picked an amount that was low so it wouldn't like, we know financially times are hard. And so we did like $5 was the entry fee or something. You Venmoed $5 to whatever, like it all got collected together. The amount was never a ton. It was like $100, $200, whatever, however many staff people you have that want to do it. And we made it completely voluntary. So like they can do it, they cannot do it because we understand we don't want to like force people to pay for something, especially on the team. But I think the last transformation challenge when we ran it the first time, we had a pot of like 300 something bucks because we had 60 plus people on our team, front desk, managers, coaches, whatever it was. Almost everybody did it. And what I thought was really cool was that it gave people a little bit of like skin in the game of like, okay, I put up $5, I might win something. And I'm telling you, so many more of those front desk staff, coaches who maybe didn't work out as much, they were in there taking classes the 3+ times a week. They were in there with the members. They were in there talking about it. And when they were trying to have members sign up for it, they were actively saying, I'm doing the challenge too. Can you do it with me? Like I'm participating. We're doing a staff one that's separate from yours. Like I'm trying to like do really well on this or whatever. And it like, I think it got the narrative around the challenge to be less about you do it because we want you to pay $35 to go do it. And I'm not going to do it, but I want you to do it, to a like, I'm doing it too. Why don't you do it with me? I'm going to be in classes with you. And we tried to highlight that like throughout of like, look, we got so-and-so from the front desk. They're in here doing their third class this week or whatever. And we tried to keep that going. And it was cool seeing the transformations at the end of the staff of like how much body fat and muscle they were putting on and things they were like changing. Cause then it gave them going forward this like individual testimonial of how they changed from a challenge that then I feel like that paid dividends going forward of now they can really speak to it even more. I will say we have great owners who maybe this helped with incentivizing it. They just, whatever we raised as far as those $5 entry fees, they matched it. So the pot was bigger. So like say we raised $300, they would put in another 300. So we'd have like, either we'd split it and do 2 winners. So there's more of a chance to win or a bigger pot or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that was something this last go around that was a really cool thing. And now we're pumping it up to do it again.
Couple more ideas on.
I love it. I gotta jump off, but thank you for this, and I look forward to the next one. Bye.
Yeah, Stuart, go.
Just a couple more workshops that my old studio did last year that I love. Just a couple ideas. Obviously, anytime there's a benchmark, like when we started with the 1 mile benchmark, that was that week's challenge. So we did participation, Team Orange versus Team Black. That was great. There was one day where we just picked a random like day and a random template, and we ran 3Gs all day, and we did the average meters on the rower per member. Like, so it was like a Tuesday, it was like a random Tuesday. We did 3Gs all day, and everyone that was participating in the challenge had to tell their total meters on the whole rowing block. And then there was a lot of math that was involved, but it was like average meters per Team Black and per Team Orange, and that group got to win for that week. So that was fun. And then we did workshops, like Saturday workshops, hour long, on OTF 101, rowing, floor, tread, and mobility matrix. So hour-long workshops for all of those. And the amount of light bulbs that you saw go off for members that just sort of like went through the motions in that aspect of class, but didn't really know why, they understood it more, and then they applied it outside of the challenge. Like, to me, that is what the whole challenge is about. And so those were really rewarding for me to see the members do.
I'm trying to get out of here. I got here super early.
I'm not sure if I'm unmuted, but
You're
Stuart, how
unmuted.
was
You're
the
good.
thank you. How was the participation for those workshops? Because I feel like when we offer that at our studio, I'm in Indiana, we usually see like the same 2 or 3 that enjoy participating in workshops of any topic, really. But then we might get 1 or 2 more. So really, it's like a handful of people.
Out of curiosity, where in Indiana are you? Because I was in Indiana when I did these workshops last year.
Oh, I'm in Granger, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Notre Dame's
So
not
yeah, and I was in Indianapolis, so I think we're in the same family, or we were in the same family until I moved to St. Louis. Um, so um, a lot of it depended on when the workshops were, and that was the dicey part. Is it was always on a Saturday or a
Yeah.
Sunday, and
Yeah.
so it was just like if there were things going on in the community, that always played an impact. We always got a couple people that said, "Oh, I wish I could go, but I have X going on."
Yeah.
So that was a consideration, but all of them had at least 10 people in them, which, for the studio sizes that I was coaching at, we saw that as a win because we
That's
also
pretty
wanted
dang
to make
good.
sure that it was a tailored personal experience. And, if you get 24 people for a tread workshop, then, 12 people are on the treads and 12 people are on the aisle watching them and listening to the feedback and assessing, which is valuable, but not as engaging. And
Yeah.
so we were looking for numbers around 12, and we were pretty lucky with that. But dates were a big part of it, and just trying to make sure they were paced out and having an understanding of, oh, this person would love to be this workshop, maybe ask them what if they have stuff going on. But it wasn't as much of an issue for us this last year, as far as I remember.
Okay, and one more follow-up question. How early is everything planned? Because I kind of feel like I've been a coach for 9 years now, and so I think it was Vanessa who hopped off the call already. With it's an annual thing, and I get excited. I'm hyped, like at the start of Transformation Challenge every year, but I do feel like energy kind of starts to waver halfway through. And I think a part of that is that it's very rushed. And I know, like David, you said it comes up really fast, but if we can pre-plan a lot more content, and especially workshops with dates and times and topics, and just kind of put that out early, like at the start, so people can plan around that. And I would even take it a step further. And if I knew those workshops and those dates, and like try to get a pre-registration, some type of list, then I would even reach out to the members and, like almost give them a questionnaire of, let's talk about your treadmill, your base, your push, your all out speed, and what are your goals specifically for the treadmill, if that's the treadmill topic, the workshop, I'm just saying. But how far in advance are you planning all that stuff?
So I'm in a different group right now that is, or at least has not yet decided to do workshops like that. I'd like to push for it. But last year when I was in Indiana, by this time, the coaches knew when their days were that they were leading the workshops. And I think it goes back to your point. The challenge is such a big deal, and it's so long, in 8 weeks. And we as coaches know the more further notice we can have so it can be in the planner and set and ready to go, that also helps us pace our energy throughout TC, as opposed to like blowing all of our energy in the first 4 weeks and then have nothing left on the back half. And so I would say pretty much as quick as possible, like talk to your coaches, plan out days all throughout the 8 weeks. Like don't save them all for just the beginning, but space them out so that you have these like landmarks to look forward to throughout the 8 weeks, but to get on it pretty much now.
What else you guys got?
This is Marisa. I'm from Maryland.
Cool.
I was trying to kind of plan out our year. We had a strategy meeting yesterday. Our marketing director is also, which we're lucky enough to have, is also going on maternity leave before the Transformation Challenge is over. So trying to get all the ducks in a row. But what exciting events or things do you do outside of our typical, mayhem, Hell Week, dry try, things like that to really engage your members? I mean, we've definitely done the no shower happy hours. I've thrown around the idea of like a Saturday hike with Coach Y, but like, is there anything that you guys do right now? We're doing a bingo that you're like, yes, this has really helped engagement or community building or accountability or anything in.
Would anyone like to speak before I speak again? I feel like I'm speaking
No, I
again.
was gonna say I want to hear some
Go
cool
ahead.
ideas. No, go for it, Stuart. If you're gonna.
So one of my big things for 2025 is I want to break the stigma about the rower. And so one of the seeds that I've already started planting is instead of marathon month, we have meter month. And it's something where people can sort of track meters, and it's just a way of engaging utilization throughout the month, especially if there's like a dry month or a sparse month in your community or in your area. A way that you can entice members to continue coming in because we got great turnout on Marathon Month this year, probably the best that we've seen in a while, because I think people just liked the competitive like nature of it, and they just people love the treadmill. And so I'm like, well, how can we like do a different sort of marathon month? And so maybe the meter month thing won't catch on. But I do think that any kind of like long-term sort of competition like TC, but not as big a stakes, not as long-term, but just with something that can get people coming in over a longer period of time. Not, I love bingo. Bingo is one of the things that I have loved doing both as a coach and as a member. So something like that, where it's more of a long-term, month-long thing like marathon month or bingo, I think is a really good practice.
Love the idea of the meter month. I'm going to have to marinate.
Yeah, I've heard about the meter month before, and I think a member told me about it, that they like used to do it a while ago, and they would like set a goal like, oh, you do this many meters and it gets you from like North Carolina to
Yeah,
Utah,
that
whatever.
was pre 2020. They called it Rovember.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a whole corporate wide thing. They had like a map, and then members could see how like far they went in different destinations and stuff. Stuart, are you planning to like execute it? Like, are you choosing, and I guess how are you choosing your month? Because do you know how there's always like mayhem is like the May thing, then there's like marathon month and this one, then there's dry try focus on this one, and are you trying to find a month that's maybe a little bit drier on something?
Yeah, so that's the flip side of the coin, right? Because at the end of TC is dry try month, and then it's May and mayhem, and then it's June. So and this is very, very early stages. It's just mainly something that I've brought up like once or twice with our like leadership. I think that bridging the gap from mayhem to marathon month or dry try to
Yeah.
me is where there's the emptiest time.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know that Rovember was a thing. I wasn't a member of OTF until 2021. But I can't imagine going from Hell Week into Rovember into 12 Days of Fitness. Like eek. And,
I
and
think that's
so
maybe why they pulled it back. It was pretty aggressive.
yeah. And so I think that maybe somewhere around June or July. I know that July, in my experience, my limited experience as a coach, is always like the sparse month, like where
Yeah.
membership tends to go down. And so maybe there's something there like, oh, it's hot outside. What do you need when you're hot? Water. Let's have get on your water road. I don't know, something stupid like that. But just a way, and that can gear up towards mayhem. Like, all right, members, have you had fun in meter month? That's awesome, because next month is marathon month. And maybe meter month is less stakes in marathon month so that marathon month still has its appropriate level of hype. Um, but just something like that.
Did any
I
of
will
Oh, sorry, go for it. No,
Oh,
you go.
I will say, in talking about Bridge the Gap, we did what we called a spring fever this year, and we did it right after 2 weeks after Transformation Challenge ended to kind of bridge the gap, so to speak, in between Transformation Challenge and Marathon Month. And we did it was a 6-week challenge where they had to come in the number of times a week
Oh, yeah.
that their membership intended. And then if you were a premier, you did it, you got 3 raffle tickets, 2 for an elite, 1 for a basic. And we did a whole big swag bag with, an orange Yeti and a couple other Yeti things that we had kind of picked up throughout the year. I will admit that that definitely seemed to help our engagement at a time that it dropped off. So I just throwing that out there in case that helps anybody else.
I was gonna say too, were any of you around, maybe like take yourself off mute and see, that did I don't know how many years ago this was. It was probably like 2018, 2017, that did the half century challenge. There was a t-shirt associated with it. That ring a bell for anybody?
No, but I've heard about it and they're
Okay.
dying to get it back.
So like we've been talking about it for like years of reviving it because it was so cool. And I think this next year we're gonna take the plunge on it because it's a bit of an investment of money on the studio side and stuff. So basically what it is, it was like 3 months and it's the summer, Stuart. So it's kind of like the less utilized time. We would do like June, July, August or something. You'd give them like a 3-month window. And half century, meaning 50, they had to complete 50 workouts within that 90-day period. Basically, it was a long drawn out challenge that was always like running in the background. But if they finished it, they got this really cool shirt that said like OTF half century, 50 classes completed, something like that. And we still have members to this day that like they wear that shirt with like the most pride. And they would say how like it was one of the toughest challenges because it was, for one, during all the vacation time. Their kids were out of school, their schedules were all out of whack. It was really hard because they had to come in, what is that, like 17 times a month, which is aggressive. It's like there's nothing short of like, that's almost like a high-end premier membership. And they did it for this friggin' t-shirt. That was like it. It was no water bottle, it wasn't a hat. It's like the members want the t-shirts. And so, yes, we kind of that year, it was back when times were a little bit more prosperous. The owners paid for the shirts. I'm assuming now we would probably have like a $10 buy-in or something cheap that like would at least try to like subsidize the cost of whatever the shirts were. But like it is still, we've only ever ran it once, but like the number of members that still talk about it, it's like unreal. And it was such an easy, it was in the background. Other things could be going. We would just here and there remind people of like, hey, if you're doing the half century, remember to stay on pace. And I think it was like our highest utilized summer we've like ever had of like members coming in because they wanted that freaking shirt. And so they knew if they were going on vacation for 2 weeks, they had to come in 5 or 6 days a week for the 2 weeks prior to be able to make up for the time. And so I don't know if we get closer to it and we start to finalize ideas, I'll throw it out there to you guys of what we're doing or whatever shirt company we're ordering through or whatever. But I think this summer we're going to pull the trigger on doing that again because it was something that we did.
I can speak to that. So we did that this last year
Cool.
to kind of bridge the gap from TC to basically everything else and to keep people engaged and in it, because a lot of people tend to go kind of balls to the wall during TC and then they drop off significantly because the 8 weeks is over. So we did it from April 1st, I think, until the end of June. So we did 50 classes in 12 weeks. And the one caveat that we did was we were allowed them 2 classes per day if it was like a strength 50, tread 50, and a normal class. Just so that, because we have a lot of people that tend to do that, especially on a weekend, double up and do like a strength class into like a 3G or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that really did help. We had a pretty high utilization. I will say that if you're not keeping on top of people and reminding them about why they joined, we did also have quite a few people drop off. So if you are ordering shirts, I would find like a system that would help you kind of identify who's actually realistically going to finish. And that might help you a little bit more so with your ordering, because we just ended up with a lot of extra shirts.
Veronica, us too. We still have them in our freaking storage.
Yeah.
I
So
can't give them away now.
we called it 50 finishers instead of half century, but like same thing. So and that really helped. And we did it for free because another big feedback that we get is just that there's not there used to be free events and free things that people could do. So our biggest goal this year that we tried to do is, can we balance out the number of free items that we can give or free events that we can give to people to keep them engaged and coming in versus what they have to pay for? And that's a big positive feedback that we've gotten this year, is that they're happy that they have events and things that they can do that they don't have to pay for right now. So in the fall right now, we're doing a match or beat. So essentially we have utilize what you're paying for, 100% of your membership in November, match or beat that in December, and then get entered into win. And we allowed all membership levels to do that. And they're just happy. Like elite members are so happy they can participate in something without having to upgrade their membership or pay for something. So that was our big driver this year is, okay, if we can't maybe acquire so many people, how are we going to keep our people? And that's kind of what was our focus and our shift was this year. So hopefully that's helpful, at least from someone who just recently did it.
Oh, that's awesome. I totally agree. I love, were any of you around when Hell Week was free? Like, I mean, maybe some of you guys.
I mean, yeah, they still talk about that in Premier members, Premier members especially. They're like, we used to get all this stuff for free. And we're like,
and even
sorry.
like, and it felt more like you earned the shirt instead of I paid for the shirt. You know what I mean? And so I think that's really cool. I think I would just like because I understand that like from the business operational side, you got to talk to your owners or the operators and see like what for your studio financially makes sense. If it can be pulled off for free, 100%. But if it's something where it's like you feel like there's going to be a lot of resistance to the cost of merchandise to run the program, maybe pitch it as like a low cost option to help subsidize the price to then roll it out to members or whatever. But yeah, Veronica, I love that. That's cool. Makes me more hyped to try to do it this upcoming summer.
Yeah, if you guys need any, like, have questions about it, or just if you ever want to brainstorm events, happy to do that, because that's all we do all day, I swear.
Veronica, did you guys do any kind of like, do you know how like for the transformation challenge, you'll sometimes put like trackers that people like mark off in the lobby or whatever. Did you guys do anything like that for their 50 workouts that you have?
Yeah, we
like,
did a big sticker chart.
Okay. For that whole like basically 3 months?
Yep.
And
They love it.
Were the members pretty engaged on it?
Yeah, they're super OCD, and I remember there was one member that someone like stickered their line and they were really upset about it. I don't know why. I'm like, you guys are literally adults, but that's fine. Whatever makes them happy. But we had that sticker chart up for 3 months, so it just made us kind of think about different ways to track different events without a sticker chart, but still like engaging. So that's so Hell Week, we did a different like engagement piece for the community board, so they had to move their piece around. The mainly are like 5 and 6, maybe 7:30 a.m. members really like it. Evening doesn't care so much, so we kind of just try to balance it with what gets people motivated, and sometimes sticker just does it for them. So
I'm gonna literally drop you off and run.
Isn't it funny how like we were talking to like on a call the other day about how like all the stuff that we have our members do, I swear it's like preschool and kindergarten stuff. It's like sticker charts, say hi to your neighbor, share a fun fact, let's do bingo. It's like all this like really like just small, very almost like childish stuff, but for some reason the members just like love it. And I think it helps if we like don't forget the fact that like that can be something that members really like engage with. I mean, maybe it does bring them back to like, I don't know, it's childhood stuff. It's like really simple stuff, but I don't know, I feel like it can make a really big impact.
yeah, I mean, even something as simple as a list for someone to cross something off, I think is just motivating to somebody. I don't know. I've had a lot of people who potentially like couldn't come in for a benchmark or something, and they're like, I'm only here to run my 12-minute benchmark, and then I'm leaving because of this stupid bingo card. And I was like, I'm sorry. But they love it. So it's just they want to cross something off, and they have like a goal or something, like a micro goal, I guess, to say, to focus themselves on instead of like the bigger picture type goal. So
and I think too, I used to always get wrapped up in like, because you know how you get into that mode where you start to like, okay, transformation challenge is over. Oh crap, now we got to do dry try. Now that's over. Oh shoot, now it's mayhem. It was always like there was just, what's the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But I think when you like look at it from the member perspective, yes, they don't have to do all this execution and planning of it, but when there's like always something to look forward to and do that the staff is hyped up on, I feel like that helps keep them a lot more engaged.
100%. And this is the last thing I'll say, then I'll stop talking. But I think the biggest thing is because we had Transformation Challenge, because we did 50 finishers, and then we had tracking a little bit for Push 30, and then we did tracking again for Marathon Month. The gap from Marathon Month to Hell Week, basically, without quote unquote tracking something, demotivated people. So our biggest goal like this next year is what can we do in that time to be maybe a free event or something to keep them motivated to come in, because now they've done all this tracking for the last 8 months and now they've just stopped until Hell Week. So that was a trend that we noticed, and we asked them and they were like, well, we just have like nothing to work for right now other than they're like what they're doing every day, but they like the tangible tracking option. So that's just basically after we got back from convention, that was what we were trying to brainstorm on the plane on the way home, like what else can we do to keep them motivated and engaged to come in, just so that's free, but helped kind of bridge that gap from all the tracking to nothing. It was like a big drop off, and it was felt even in their excitement. So
we did like, I don't know if everybody does this, but like maybe just our ownership group, we did like free bingo, and each bingo that you got a raffle ticket to be entered in for free registration for Hell Week. And we did that after Dry Try, I think. Yeah, we did that in the summer after Dry Try.
That's cool.
yeah, that's what we ended up doing too. After we noticed the big drop off after Dry Try, we were like, okay. So then we pivoted to bingo in October to lead up to Hell Week, and that did help. But definitely it was like a shock because we assumed that they would just essentially establish the habit, and then they were like, okay, nothing to track, I can just slip.
We
So
always, man, it's like you can pre-book your classes for freaking Hell Week. Now when your health is on the line and not a t-shirt, why don't you pre-book? Yeah, man. Okay. I think we're gonna kind of, does anyone else have any other last minute things they want to say, or we'll kind of wrap this up? Just want to make sure I get this downloaded, and then I'll post it. So in case anyone wants to rewatch it. Hopefully you guys find these helpful. I don't know. I never know. I feel like it's nice kind of like bouncing ideas back and forth. Like I took a handful of ideas that I wrote down to bring back to ours too. But we'll kind of see how December goes. Maybe we'll try to like do a call maybe a little bit towards mid-month before like the holidays start. We can kind of touch base again, but come with like, or if you like have other coaches that you want to have jump in on this, like with things that you feel like you are either struggling with or maybe that you're executing really well, because I feel like it can bring a lot of value to us as a group. So thank you guys, and we will talk to you guys later.